But these are testing times, ladies and gentlemen, and for an awful lot of people, they're very testing. And when testing times come, then sometimes interesting things happen. And we're going to talk now to Sally Norman, who is, of course, all about punk, rage and revolution. She's been recognised in the National Awards for Community and Heritage because preserving punk's cultural legacy is what she's all about. And at the moment, there is a sense, and I said this earlier, the 1976-77 period, you know, the government in this country had been in for a while. Things were not going well. There were national strikes. There were all sorts of winters of discontent. Young people were kind of at a loss as to what to do about it. And the punk movement sort of began around about the time the Sex Pistols first burst on the scene. But let's talk to Sally Norman now and find out what this is all about. Sally, a very good morning to you.
Hello.
Thanks very much for joining us. I'm afraid I'm old enough to remember the punk scene.
Me too.
So it was a fascinating time, particularly I was living in London at the time, and it was a real kind of proper counterculture sort of reaction to the way the country had sort of almost disappeared into its own miasmic world where nothing really worked terribly well. I mean, there's some parallels to draw between where we are now and where we were then, aren't there?
Yeah, there's lots of parallels, and in this project we worked with a lot of young people, most of whom are facing big challenges in their own lives, to put together this exhibition about punks. And in the process of that, they compared lives today with lives in the 1970s as well, and drew connections together.
Yeah.
What is similar, what is different, everything else as well.
I mean, it seems to me one of the differences, people are a lot better off now than they were. I mean, I say to people who didn't live during the 70s that, you know, we didn't have much, you know, and whether you were happy or not happy was not about what you had. It was just about how your life was, because we didn't really have very much of anything. Whereas now you've got kids who have all got iPhones, they've all got kind of, you know, probably reasonable standards of living compared to what was going on with some kids in the 70s. I mean, in the 70s, I knew people, loads of people, who went off and just lived in a squat somewhere, and suddenly they were just living hand to mouth. They suddenly made themselves into a band. They suddenly made 20 quid playing down a local pub, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, it was almost desperation that drove a lot of that. I'm not sure that they're so desperate now.
I think there's a big discrepancy between the haves and the have-nots now.
Yeah.
And the young people we work with don't have all of that at all, and come from families where, you know, they really are scraping a living together, right, whether that's through working or through being on benefits. But, you know, there's still plenty of people in this country who are really struggling to survive. Yeah. Really.
And what are they doing, and how do you connect with those people? What's your kind of, you know, exhibition and your thought process all about for people?
So as an organisation, I work for an organisation called Soft Touch Arts, and we work with young people who face challenges in their lives through a range of arts, music, media projects, and this Punk Rage and Revolution was one of those projects. And in this, we worked with young people right from the start to curate and create items for the exhibition, as well as having items that were brought in, you know, original items from the 70s, which local people donated. They did lots of interviews with people who were punks at the time. And through the exhibition, we had a lot of quotes and things from them comparing lives today with lives.
And what did they make of that comparison? What did they make of the punk era?
I think they loved the fact that young people stood up and for what they believed in, and, you know, actually did action. And I think they really appreciated that this project gave them a voice as well. Yeah. Gave them a voice to say, you know, how they feel about things today as well.
Because the good thing about punk, I think, anyway, was that, you know, of course there were people probably my age then saying, isn't this disgraceful? Look at these people with their ridiculous haircuts standing around with their mohawks and their, you know, tartan clothing and their big boots and their studded ears and faces and all the rest of it. But actually it did create an opportunity for an awful lot of young people at the time to become creative and to find a way through whatever problems they had in life. So
Yeah.
what's the equivalent today? Because we don't see an awful lot of that. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's very difficult to be a young person today.
I think it is very difficult to be a young person today because, you know, young people communicate in different ways to the way we did because of the internet and social media and everything else. So it is very different in some ways. You're not meeting up necessarily in the same way that we used to in the 70s with your friends. And I think that fragments things a lot. But I think there is a lot of similarities, and there are, you know, young people are concerned with their lives today and are, you know, and want to take action and perhaps are trying to work out how to do that.
And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, you've just won an award, a national award for community and heritage, if somebody wants to take part in it, how do they do that?
Okay, so yes, we won an award to be the best heritage project funded by the National Lottery in England, and we're now through to in a competition to be the best lottery project thing. So it's a voting process for the public, and if they go, the easiest way is to go to www.lotterygoodcauses or put Lottery Good Causes into search engine, and that will come up with how you vote.
Okay.
And you can vote for us.
Great stuff. Sally, good luck with it. Thanks very much indeed. A very worthy cause, because, I mean, the great thing about punk is that it did create an awful lot of very interesting people and a lot of very interesting music. You might not have liked it, but it was a real thing. And that maybe it's what we need, something like punk, to take us all out of our torpor. As long as it's not read and led by Robert Peston, pretending he's an anarchist. We don't want any of that. This is TalkTV.